field. That one's stalled to the right. Hunter on the move, racing back. It's over his head. It's gone. It's into the bullpen. This game is tied. This game is tied. David Ortiz. David Ortiz. David Ortiz.
This is Red Sox Beat on CLNS Radio.
I think it would be a big statement if John Farrell started Travis Shaw on opening day, and I'd be totally cool with it, because I think it would. If that doesn't give Sandoval motivation to play better defense and play better, period, nothing will.
I think they're going to make Jeter that first unanimous vote, and I hate that about baseball writers. If you belong in the Hall of Fame, you get voted in the Hall of Fame.
Achievement or a new milestone. So don't just be like, yay, we signed this player, so we're going to have a ceremony. Like, no.
Now, to your hosts.
All right, Red Sox fans, Red Sox Beat here on CLNS Media. CLNS Media, of course, the leading online provider of audio-video coverage of New England professional sports. Of course, you can follow CLNS on social media. On Twitter's at CLNS Media. Facebook, just search CLNS Media and we'll come up there. Of course, don't forget to download the free CLNS mobile podcast app for iOS and Android. Of course, you can follow us on Twitter at @RedSox_Beat. Facebook is Red Sox Beat Podcast. iTunes, stick to the whole 9 yards. If you haven't yet, please rate, review, and subscribe to us. Of course, it's easier for you guys if you subscribe too, because then every week the new episode just comes right to your device. So, that being said, a lot's going on in Boston this week. The Celtics are front news, of course. They just won the draft lottery for the first time in the history of the franchise, but we're not here to talk about that as much as Jess and I might want to. We have baseball to talk about. So, guys, a meh week for the Red Sox. A lot going on. Some news here and there we'll get to, but first of all, and a meh week for the team.
It was a meh week for the Red Sox, a good week for the Celtics. My emotions were just all over the place for Boston sports this week. But a meh week, I'll take it over a really crappy week. But still, I'd prefer a good week over a meh.
Yeah, the Red Sox are lucky that the Celtics are commanding the attention of Boston at the moment, because they're just piddling along around at 500, and Celtics are going to the Eastern Conference Finals. So definitely in mid-May here, when the spotlight would normally be on them, the Red Sox are lucky to get a little distraction. Hopefully they can figure it out in the next 2 weeks to a month when their distraction won't be on them anymore. So that'll be the task.
I don't think anyone in Boston is ready for them to be the only news yet, just because the Celtics are playing so well. But that being said, Red Sox time and the limelight's coming. It's around the corner, and a lot of people might not know details of what this team's gone through. They might just be looking at record, glancing at some box scores until it really gets into the meat of the season, which is whenever the Celtics are done. So at that point, we need to, talk about this, because this right now, our podcast, of course, guys, is the only stream of news that some people listen to. So we want to update the people what's going on who don't have time to watch all these games, or who are putting their attention to the NBA, which in the NHL playoffs, which games have been phenomenal so far. So a lot to get to. We have John Farrell firing news. Travis Shaw came back up in the news as well. But let's go to the recap, because it was a meh week. So Jess is going to take us through that. We'll give you MVP, and then we have some things to update you on with injuries and the whole 9 yards here. So let's start with Jess's recap of what was really a meh week for the Red Sox.
Yeah, we were all a little positive coming in. I know me and Jared both said win 2 out of 3 from the Brewers. Lauren said sweep. And unfortunately, it didn't go so well, and especially at the beginning of the series. The first game was a lot of runs. The Brewers won 11-7 on Tuesday to take the first game of the series. They got 5 of those 11 runs in the first inning of this game, after the Sox actually went up 1-0 when Betts hit a home run to lead off the inning and start off his great week, which we'll get to. But unfortunately, Eric Thames hit a 2-run homer. Travis Shaw got an RBI single, and Keon Broxton hit a 2-run homer. And it was 5-1 after 1 inning. Those runs were all off Drew Pomeranz, who only went 4 innings, giving up 7 hits and 6 runs. So a bad start for him. Fortunately for the Red Sox, Willie Peralta for the Brewers was not much better. He only lasted 4 1/3 innings. He gave up 5 hits and 4 runs of his own, which allowed the Red Sox to come back a little bit. But when they made the comeback, it was 6-1 in the 5th inning. Betts got an RBI double, Pedroia got an RBI double, and Benintendi got an RBI double. It was a double parade. That made it 6-4 with each of those runs. Unfortunately, with that comeback got a little bit stopped in the 6th inning when the Brewers got 3 runs back, highlighted by a Nick Franklin 2 RBI double. Benintendi made it 9-5 in the 7th with an RBI single, but the Brewers got 2 more runs in the bottom of the 7th with the Keon Broxton 2 RBI triple. He had a great game. Betts had a 2 RBI double to cap off his great game in the 8th to make it 11-7. That's all we would get. Betts was 4 for 4 with 4 RBI and 2 runs. Great start to the week. Benintendi had 3 hits and 2 RBI, which is good because he has done literally nothing since then. But he had a good game on Tuesday. Unfortunately, and the offense was fine, but the Brewers' offense was that much better. They got 3 runs off Hembree in .1 innings. They got 2 runs off Ben Taylor. So the bullpen was unsteady in this game, and obviously getting off to a 5-1 first inning. Not the way to win a ball game. So after getting 17 runs on Sunday, this is kind of a big-time downer to start the week.
Yeah, and 7 runs isn't that big of a deal if your pitching staff or your bullpen can hold the Milwaukee Brewers ball teams to less than 7 runs. But, I look at this game and obviously other games throughout the week, and the bullpen is really the biggest issue in my thought process of what this team needs to fix. And obviously, Carson Smith will be back hopefully sooner rather than later to help patchwork that. But, Thornburg, who knows? And we talk about that all the time, but, we can't wait for the situation. So, obviously, we have to see what kind of happens because Dombrowski's not going to make a move now. He's not going to do that this early in the year. But at the same time, this team needs something in the bullpen because that's the biggest issue right now. I don't look at the rotation as the biggest issue because it's pretty much the same as it was last year, if not better, because you put Chris Sale in it. So the bullpen is the problem, and this game's pretty much case in point because you gave the Milwaukee Brewers 11 runs.
Yeah, it's you nailed it with the bullpen. I don't see the rotation as an issue either. I just constantly find myself saying the bullpen blew another game, or here comes the bullpen with whether they have a lead or if they have a good enough lead, they blow it. If they're down by 12, they blow it even worse. And it's so frustrating to watch because it's kind of when Chris Sale goes on the mound, we're all right, it's pretty much a guarantee it's going to be a good game. It's when Kimbrel comes on the mound, it's guaranteed to be a good game and good closeout. And you would just have people from your bullpen come in who aren't Kimbrel, and you're like, oh no, here we go.
Yeah, it's weird because it's kind of there's not a huge issue with any of the 3 parts of the team necessarily in my mind. The bullpen obviously is a little shaky because you don't know exactly what you're going to get from each guy on a particular night. Sometimes he'll be good, sometimes he won't. But there's been nights where the bullpen's been good, and then there's been other nights where the starters are good. There's been other nights where the offense is good. But what the problem is none of them can seem to get it together on the same night. It's the offense is good, the pitching's bad. The pitching's good, the offense is bad. The pitching and the offense is good. The bullpen's bad. That's the problem. I don't think any of the 3 are really that bad. It's just they can never seem to get on the same page in the same game.
I also think that's difficult. It's hard to ask this whole team's not going to be on the same page every night, but one part of this team does need to be consistent. It needs to be a constant for this team to be what we expected it to be. You can't ask for the offense to show up one night, the pitching to show up another night, and then nothing be consistent. If they want to be the team that we expect them to be, come back and potentially win this division and do something in the playoffs, one thing needs to be consistent. We all expected it to be the offense, but it's not there. So the bullpen would be nice, but that also being said, something needs to be consistent for this team to be considered a really good team.
It's they're taking shifts on when to be good. All right,
seriously.
offense, she'll be good tonight.
It's a part-time job. Come on now. You work for it. Come on.
Offense, take a rest. You guys were good yesterday. The bullpen will be good today. It's all right, now switch it up a little bit. Defense will be good. So it's definitely frustrating because we have a good team. We know we have a good team, and they just can't be on the same page. Like you said, it's so frustrating to watch.
Yeah, they just haven't put it together, and that's why they're around 500. I mean, that's what 500 teams are. You win half the games, you lose half the games. That's kind of what's happening here. A little unable to just go on that little 4, 5, 6 game winning streak and get above 500. So, but it's only in the middle of May. We'll move on with the recap though. Wednesday's game was more of the same. Not bad offense and bad pitching. 7-4 final. The Sox got 11 hits in the game, but the Brewers got 13. So it's just kind of the same thing here. Same 2 guys added again, Eric Thames and Keon Broxton. They both played well again. They both had 2 hits. They combined for 3 runs and an RBI. This game was started by Kyle Kendrick. against Chase Anderson, and Kendrick was not good again. He gave up 10 hits and 6 runs in 4 1/3 innings to up his ERA to 12.96, and he's 0-2 now. Not good at all. The Brewers got up 2-0 in the first with a couple RBI singles. Jackie Bradley Jr. cranked a homer in the top of the second to break out of his long slump. Well, not really break out, but help the cause. Sox tied it at 2, actually, with a Betts RBI single in the fourth, but then the fifth inning happened, and this is what's been happening to Kendrick in his 2 starts, is he pitches pretty well for a couple innings and then gives up a huge inning. And this was the 5th in this game. Thames had an RBI double, Shaw had a RBI fielder's choice, and Hernan Perez hit an RBI single to make it 6-2. The Sox would never get closer than 3 runs in the game, and they lost 7-4. Kendrick was dropped to AAA after this game because he's had 2 really bad starts. This really was just a case of getting down in the middle of the game and getting plenty of hits. 9 hits off Chase Anderson, but just couldn't get the hits at the right time to score the runs when they needed to, and that is a recipe for another loss.
It's so frustrating. I feel like I'm going to say this about every game that from last week. It's so frustrating, and I know Kendrick. I didn't really expect him to be great, but I didn't expect him to suck as bad. Like, okay. I didn't expect Kendrick to be great, but I didn't expect him to be this bad. 6 runs in 2 starts. His ERA was absurd. And the hits he gave up, and it was just absolutely horrendous. I'm not really sure why they thought, he'd be a good depth option. I understand he had a really good spring training. He wasn't doing all that great in AAA, but I don't want to say we got what we expected from him because I didn't expect this at all. But it's just another question mark on the rotation because we have, Velasquez coming up, we have Price coming back, Drew Pomeranz hopefully not missing any starts with his tricep that we'll get into later. But it's just lots of question marks and frustration. That's going to be the word of the show, is frustration. Yeah, and the season's been frustrating because it's a lot higher expectations than they're actually playing. They're not playing to those expectations. And, Kendrick has disappointed because we expected better. We thought he was going to, be this lightning in a bottle type situation when we still watched him in spring, and he hasn't really lived up to that since. So, obviously it makes sense for him to not pitch the next start, and we'll see what happens with his rotation. But, it's shaky right now, and I'm not as concerned about the rotation as I am with the bullpen, like I kind of mentioned, because of the fact, you do have Price. It looks like he's coming back and ready to go. Pomeranz got away with the scare there, and it's not as worrying to me, but, in this game, you go from scoring 7 runs and losing to scoring 4 runs and giving up 7 runs and losing. It's just, this is the consistency of, the offense, and we'll talk about the offense, but it's just not there right now, and that's what scared me in this Brewer series, is they couldn't hit when they needed to. Indeed, except for on Thursday, which we'll get to right now. This was exactly hitting when you needed, which is a good way to end the series off. It's a Thursday matinee game with Eduardo Rodriguez on the mound against Jimmy Nelson. And this was a really well-pitched game. Each guy pitched well. The Red Sox got a run in the first inning on an error, and then nobody scored until the bottom of the 6th when Jonathan Villar hit an RBI double to tie it at 1 off Erod, and that would be the score going in the 9th. Erod pitched 6 innings, 3 hits, 1 run. No walks, 5 strikeouts. Very, very good start for him, as most of them have been. And Nelson also went 6 2/3 with 8 strikeouts, only giving up 4 hits and 1 run, and it wasn't even earned. So that brought us all the way to the 9th inning, and Mookie Betts crushed a 3-run homer to give the Sox a 4-1 lead. Christian Vasquez and Devin Marrero were on base, made it 4-1. And Craig Kimbrel pitched an inning and 2/3 in this game, struck out every single batter he faced, gave up 1 hit, got out of an 8th inning jam, and then got the win with the 3 strikeouts in the 9th inning. So he continues his stretch. So this is the kind of game you wanted because, unlike the first 2 games of the series, they got good starting pitching, they got great closing, and they got a huge hit exactly when they needed it. This was a good game. Yeah, this is exactly the kind of game we needed, and especially to close out a series, avoid being swept, and everything was on point. Mookie Betts was doing Mookie Betts things. Craig Kimbrel was doing Craig Kimbrel things, and it was just nice to see because just the last 2 games against the Brewers were so frustrating. Just runs everywhere. Just nothing was like clicking for this team. And to come in and close out the series against them with this kind of game and this kind of outing for Kimbrel was just kind of refreshing. Even though it was still a meh week, it was definitely refreshing to see just kind of everyone on the same page. The offense clicked. Rodriguez pitched really well. He's been pitching well all season. I think that's kind of overlooked just because of the season and probably Sale thrown in there too. But just definitely a game that they needed to win, and just everything just seemed to work well for them.
Yeah, I think that, and we don't need to spend too much time on this game because it was basically a textbook win. With Erod pitching well and the offense coming through in the clutch with Mookie Betts, and obviously Kimbrel doing what Kimbrel's been doing this year. I think this is the kind of baseball we expected them to play consistently this year. I'm hoping, we get Price back, he gets consistency in this team a little bit more as injuries start to come back. Brock Holt is close potentially coming back as well. So this is a really good win for this team. They needed it when they got it when they needed it the most, especially because they didn't want to get swept by the Brewers of all people. And they got it done when they had to. And man, Kimbrel just looked phenomenal this year. I will rave about him every week if he keeps pitching the way he has. He's looked amazing.
Well, he's been one of the best closers in the league for his entire career. He just had some location problems last year with walks, and now he's giving you everything you could ask for and more, because obviously the bar wasn't as high this season because of the season he had last year, which was still good but not up to his par. And boy, is he parring it and a lot more right now. He's looked fantastic.
He is just wheeling and dealing. This is the guy that we wanted last year, and this is the guy we want on our team, and he just looks so good out there. He looks so confident. When he comes into the game, it's not like last season where I'm like, oh no, we have a lead and this is going to be bad. It's like, yeah, Kimbrel's in, kind of like that Papelbon feeling, when he came in and we all got so pumped up to see him. It's like that kind of similar feeling, and that's what I want when I see our closer come into the game. I don't want to feel uncomfortable when our closer comes in, because that's obviously our closer's in the game to close out the game, to get that save. So he just did a complete 180 this season, and I could rave about him all day. We should just do an hour show on Kimbrel.
He's unhittable. He's literally unhittable. He's so good. Like, guys have no chance. He literally strikes out like 90% of the hitters. It's insane. Yeah, he's fun to watch. That was a great trade. It turns out now, especially, it was seriously, he was good last year. He just wasn't as proven 100%
it was the walks.
To get
That's
the
the
save.
problem. That's the problem.
Right.
The walks last year, but he clearly figured it out, because you find the strike zone with that fastball, and you're going to be very successful.
Yeah, his fastball's blazing. It's awesome. So that was that series. Lost 2 out of 3. We all got it wrong because we didn't pick that. And unfortunately, we did not get this Rays series right either, because Jared picked a sweep. Me and Lauren picked 2 out of 3. And another losing 2 out of 3 in this series, starting with Friday. This was an annoying game. It was a 5-4 Tampa Bay win. This was a home game. Rick Porcello started. He went 6 innings, gave up 9 hits, 5 runs, 3 earned, no walks, 7 strikeouts. If you take away the two earned runs, it wasn't terrible. 9 hits, too much. But unfortunately, all the runs came at a similar time in the 4th and 5th innings. Tim Beckham hit a 2 RBI single in the 4th to make it 2-0. And then Corey Dickerson had an RBI double in the 5th, and Evan Longoria had a 2-run homer to make it 5-0. So it was 5-0 after 5 innings, which is obviously pretty tough to come back from. And Porcello's been prone to the home run ball, pretty much his whole career. He even gave up a lot of home runs last year in his Cy Young season. So you kind of expect that from him at this point. Fortunately, the Red Sox made a little comeback in the 7th. Due to some bad Tampa Bay defense. Josh Rutledge got the first run in on an infield single, and Chris Young scored on an error. Then Sandy Leon hit a 2 RBI ground rule double to make it 5-3. And then another error for Brad Miller this time, scored another run. Sandy Leon scored that run. And it was 5-4, unfortunately, not aided by errors. The Red Sox couldn't score any other runs. There were 5 errors total in this game for both teams combined. The Sox only got 5 hits to go along with their 4 runs, so it was just, a case of getting down 5-0, being aided by a few errors to make a little comeback, but just not enough juice to make that comeback with only 5 hits. Alex Cobb started, went 4 innings, 6 and a third innings, 4 hits, 4 runs, 3 earned. he was not too bad. But Sox couldn't score off their bullpen, and that was that. So, it's hard to give up 5 runs over 2 innings, get down 5-0, and expect to win the game. They almost did, but you can't expect that.
No, you can't expect that at all. And again, it was frustrating, and you can't just try to win the game based on errors. I mean, sure, it looked that way for a little while, but it's just another case of where everything just wasn't clicking. The offense couldn't pull it together. It was just a mess, and it was just another frustrating game to watch this week. And I don't know, I think it was just this week has been the most frustrating week for the Red Sox this season.
Yeah, it definitely seems that way because you're playing against teams that, you should have been able to kind of handle and have a big week. And we sat here and talked about it last week when we did our predictions. This is a week they need to have because they're playing the Brew Crew, they're playing the Rays. These are teams you should have easily taken care of. And now you lose 2 out of 3 of the Brewers. You lose the first game against the Rays, and you can't figure out why because the consistency's not there. And after a good win at the end of the Brewer series, you thought, okay, maybe they salvage a game here and just go and kick the Rays' butts. And it didn't happen. And you're like, okay, what the heck is going on with this team? And I don't even know if it's the consistency's not there because of motivation or what it may be. I truly believe it might be a lack of leadership. Someone isn't really taking control of that locker room, and I believe that wholeheartedly because it is a young team, and no one in that locker room has replaced David Ortiz because you can't do that. But that mental leadership role, I think, is a big part of what's going on right now.
Right, like that. We're going to go out there and win. We need to beat these teams that should be worse than us. That kind of attitude just doesn't seem to be there. It's kind of like, well, anybody has any chance to win any game. That's kind of what it seems like to me. It's just, especially losing 2 games to the Brewers, and we'll get to the second loss against the Rays, losing 2 against them. It's, this is a week that you should not have really had a problem going 4-2, but instead 2-4. It's just like everyone seems to think they can beat the Red Sox, and that's not what a good team is. So, brought us into Saturday's game. This was the one win of the series because who pitched? Oh, Chris Sale did. Well, that's going to be a win. Guaranteed, unless the offense doesn't show up, which they did, which is nice. So this was a good game, much like Thursday's game. Got a good combination of everything. Sale did give up a couple of bombs. Fortunately, the offense bailed him out. Logan Morrison hit a home run in the second to make it 1-0. Fortunately, Mookie Betts continued his rampant week with a 2-run homer in the third to make it 2-1. But Kevin Kiermaier jumped right back on top for the Rays with a 2-run homer of his own in the fifth off Sale to make it 3-2. But fortunately, just a half inning later, the Red Sox got 4 runs with a Devin Marrero 2 RBI double, big hit for him to give the Sox 4-3 lead. Betts hit an RBI double to continue his insane week again to make it 5-3. Xander Bogaerts hit an RBI ground out to make it 6-3, which was the final. Chris Sale pitched 7 innings, only gave up 2 hits. Those 2 home runs were the only 2 hits he gave up the entire game. So 3 runs from those home runs, 2 walks, and 12 strikeouts. Again, it's the 7th straight start with 10 or more strikeouts. So, he gave up a couple of runs, but if you give up 3 or less runs, you should expect to win. And fortunately, the Sox scored the 6 runs off of Blake Snell, who gave up 6 hits and 6 runs in 5 2/3. And Craig Kimbrel came in after Joe Kelly. They both pitched clean innings, 2 strikeouts apiece to close it out. So 16 strikeouts total for the Red Sox. And anytime you have Chris Sale and Craig Kimbrel pitching in a game and you can score more than 3 runs, you're going to win.
Chris Sale getting run support is just a recipe for winning. If you get Chris Sale more than 3 runs in support, if not 3, you're gonna win the game. Just because he's that good of a pitcher. He was only struggling with wins because of the fact that he couldn't get someone to score more than a run for him, if that. If the Red Sox can score for Chris Sale, they're going to win those games. Just because he has been that good, and he did it again in this game.
I mean, is there anything Chris Sale can't do? He's been so much fun
to
watch. Well, yeah, I know that album all too well.
Me too.
Me too.
It's a blessing and a curse. But he's been unbelievably just amazing this season. I don't even. It's just such an understatement. On the mound, he's just so much fun to watch, and the intensity, the emotion, just that you just he puts into every pitch, not just every game, but like every pitch you just see. Like, he's out there to strike guys out. He's out there to get them out, and that's exactly the kind of player this team needs. And it's nice to see them get run support for him, because that was a huge thing. You know, his record wasn't really reflecting his outings, but my God, 7 straight games, double-digit strikeouts. Like, what can't this guy do?
I know, it's funny. You look at his outing and you're like, oh, he gave up 2 home runs. Not a good outing from Sale. And then you look further and you're like, oh, those are the only 2 hits he had the entire game, and he had 12 strikeouts. I guess he pitched pretty well. It's just crazy. He's nasty. He leads the league in strikeouts by a lot. He is just rolling. I mean, he's 4-2 right now. He could easily be 8-0. I mean, obviously, we're not handing out Cy Young in the mid-May, but if Cy Young was announced today, there's no way he's not getting it.
Yeah, no. If he keeps pitching like this, then I don't know who would even go anywhere near him for that award.
No, I don't see anybody coming close to what he's doing if he keeps on this pace. Obviously, I know it's only May, but no doubt, like, early front runner, there's nobody close to Chris Sale.
I mean, he's got the most strikeouts. The ERA is 2.15. Obviously, 4-2 doesn't matter, but that's better than any other record that's worse than that. Even though his record should be way better than that. But no way you can't give it to him right now. I mean, that's the funny thing about this team right now is that they're 19-18, yet they have the best starter in the league and they have the best closer in the league. Doesn't make much sense, does it?
No, it absolutely doesn't, because in some of their batters, like, look at Mookie Betts, look at Benintendi, like, look at the things they've been doing, and
Bogarts.
The Bogarts, They're just a mediocre 18-17, 19-18 team. It's
weird.
Mind-boggling. My mind is blown.
You think about the talent you have on this team and the best pitcher stats and the Craig Kimbrel stats and what he's doing. The record doesn't make sense for what this team should be doing. We set the expectations very high this year. I think they personally do think they will turn it around, but they got to get healthy, and the bullpen has to figure their crap out very soon.
And David Price coming back, and hopefully, if David Price comes back, and that'll be great, because that'll just be like you traded for a really good pitcher in June. You know,
this is true.
So, yeah, I think signs are. I mean, there's no reason not to be positive. It's, you know, the talent's there. Just got to get everyone healthy and get everyone on the same page, and not lose key players like Betts, Pedroia, Bogarts, Sale, Kimbrel, Porcello.
Yeah, right,
you know, the main guys. Not losing those guys is obviously key to having a good season. So shouldn't be freaking out yet. But Sunday's game is a reason to freak out. If you're at least if you're watching the 9th inning, the rest of it wasn't too bad. This game was started by Drew Pomerantz and Matt Andriese. Disgusting Mother's Day, awful weather, terrible game. Sorry to anyone who had tickets to that, who thought they were going to have a nice warm Mother's Day. Great game. Didn't get a great game, didn't get a good weather Mother's Day, didn't get anything. It was crap. But Andrew Pomerantz got hurt. Everything great. He lasted 3 innings and then came out with some triceps tightness. It appears he's okay, but they're very, very precautionary with him because of his history, obviously. So the second anything happens, they're like, oh, okay, we got to get this checked out, even though so far this season everything that's happened to him has supposedly been nothing. He gave up 3 hits, 2 runs, 3 walks, 3 Ks. Came out of the game. Matt Andriese only went 5 innings, giving up 2 runs on 4 hits. So really this is a bullpen game. And the Rays bullpen did not give up any runs. The Red Sox bullpen did. And they gave up a ton of runs. They gave up 9 runs. Yeah, this was ugly. Ben Taylor gave up 1. Barnes gave up 1. Robbie Ross gave up 3. And Heath Hembree gave up 4. So pretty bad overall. The game was a 3-2 game in the 5th inning after Bogarts got an RBI. After Pedroia got an RBI single. That made it 3-2. The Rays made it 4-2 with an Evan Longoria RBI single in the 7th. And then it was the 9th inning where the Rays got 4 RBI singles and then a 3-run homer from Steven Souza Jr. to make it 11-2. So really it was a pretty close game until the end, unfortunately. It was close throughout. It was close into the later innings, and then just the cover came off for the Red Sox, an 11-2 loss. So, you know, pretty bad bullpen effort, but obviously the key to this game was Pomerantz getting hurt and supposedly not being bad. Bad end to the week, but I guess at this point you just got to move on from the week and try again. for some better luck against other teams.
God, the bullpen was so bad in this game. Like, what could they do wrong? Or what couldn't they do wrong in this game is the better way to say that.
They
like,
do everything wrong.
That was bad, considering it was a very attainable game for the majority of that game.
Yeah, it was bad. It was just a bad game all around, from the weather to the bullpen to the score, and it was a close game, and then all of a sudden it just fell apart, and just absolutely just the Red Sox got annihilated, and I had to recap this game, and it was just not a fun game to recap.
I'm sorry.
It was bad. I'm like, after the game ended, I'm just like, I don't even know what to say. Like, this is wild. It's the bullpen is just terrible, and I don't know. I can't even make like a good thing out of it. I think I gave Christian Vasquez the game MVP because he was the only guy to get 2 hits in the order. Everybody else had 1 or none, and I was like, I don't know who to give it to. It's all around serious struggle.
Yep, that was the story of the week. 11 runs given up against the Rays and the Brewers, 7 runs against the Brewers, 5 against the Rays. It's just not a good outing for the pitchers besides Chris Sale and Eduardo Rodriguez. They were the only 2 who pitched well this week, and the offense didn't show up for about half the game. So that'll happen, I guess. Sometimes it did happen. It's a 2-4 week for the Red Sox against 2 winnable teams, unfortunately. But we will give the MVP of the week absolutely to Mookie Betts, who absolutely destroyed this week, which is unfortunate that they couldn't get more than 2 wins. But he had 10 hits, 9 runs, 4 doubles, 4 home runs, and 13 RBI. That's about as good as a week as anybody's had for a while.
Yeah, I'd say this week was very shadowed by the crap results that the team had to deal with. Like, no one really talked about Mookie Betts this week, one, because the whole team was overshadowed by the Celtics, but, this team wasn't playing well as a whole, and so Mookie Betts having 10 hits, 9 runs, 4 doubles, and 4 homers, and 13 RBIs isn't a big deal right now, because the whole team played like crap.
That's a great week, though.
It's a phenomenal week. Like that's MVP, caliber week.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't argue that, and I think, it absolutely got overshadowed because of the crap week that was, but, light at the end of the tunnel is Mookie Betts, and I'll take any kind of positivity from this team that will come this way, and if it's in the form of Mookie Betts, then I will take it.
Especially for him, too, who, he had a little slow start to the season and got sick and then kind of picked it up a little bit, but the power wasn't there, and now he's got the power, he's driving at the runs, he's getting hits, the average is rising, so he's kind of putting everything together here in the middle of May, and that's what you want from him, because, I'm sure even though it was the beginning of the season, people make quick decisions, and they were probably like, oh, he's not as good as people think, he was protected by Ortiz, blah, 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 so this was kind of Betts' week to say, all right, screw all you guys, I am this good, and watch. Here it is.
Yeah, no, and it was phenomenal. So there you go. There was the meh week recapped. Mookie Betts gets the MVP. Red Sox struggle to get 2 wins this week. Of course, Chris Sale wins because he always wins. And Jess's recap in our opening segment here on Red Sox Beat, of course, is brought to you by our good friends at SeatGeek Ticketing app, the smartest and easiest way, of course, to buy and sell sports and concert tickets. You get a $20 rebate on your first purchase by downloading the free SeatGeek app to your phone. If you go to the settings tab and click add a promo code and enter the code Garden Report, all one word for your $20 rebate, and so SeatGeek knows who sent you. Lack of a better kind of example, Celtics are in the Eastern Conference Finals and they're playing at home. Save some money and you want to go to the game. That's the best way to do it. And then the Red Sox, when they start playing better, save some money on some seats and go watch the Red Sox too. So definitely use the promo code Garden Report for your first purchase. A lot going on Red Sox-wise, like we just kind of talked about that situation in the week that was. Now, one thing that we kind of wanted to touch, and at least I wanted to, was the offense and where that consistency's been. But I want to start with the conversation of what JBJ is up to. Because, everyone kind of came into this situation in this year as, Jackie Bradley's one of the 3, young stud outfielder, obviously great defender, maybe he figured out at the plate as well. And now I question if he should even be on the field. Situation where, you have Chris Young who can play, and you have other guys who can play outfield, and why is he, I wouldn't say why is he getting a shot, because he was on the bench for a little bit, but maybe he should get a little extended period right in the Pine.
Yeah, much like the last few weeks, much like this whole season, Jackie Bradley Jr. has been extremely frustrating to watch. And I mean, we know he's a streaky player. We know what he's capable of. We know that he can be good. As to why he's in the field, I think it's because his glove and his defense. And I totally agree. You need to hit Chris Young if he's hitting well, and he's not a bad outfielder by any means. I think you need to play him while he's hot and let JBJ kind of ride it out on the bench. And I understand he's bigger name on your roster, and you may not want to do that, but it comes down to what's best for this team, who's going to produce, and what's going to make this team win games.
Yeah, I'm definitely annoyed with him. He did hit a home run tonight in the game that's currently on Tuesday here, which is good. But just wildly inconsistent. He's just cracked the 200 mark tonight. I mean, he was hitting 182 to start the game with 2 home runs and 7 RBI. That's terrible. I mean, that's even worse than past seasons. Yes, I know he had a 29-game hitting streak, but overall, his averages have been terrible every season. Even with that 29-game hitting streak, he still only hit 267 last year. He's a career 234 hitter, which is terrible. Not what you want, and I don't think 234 is worth the glove he has because there's other good defenders in the league, not as good as him, but certainly serviceable and good enough. And I don't think that a 182 average, 200 average should be good enough to keep you in the lineup. I really like the guy, and I know he works hard, and I've always been a fan of him, but it's just like, how many times year after year are we just going to have to keep watching him be horrendous at the plate and hear excuses of he'll get better and blah, blah, blah. It's just like, man, either figure out how to hit or go somewhere else because I'm getting tired of it.
And I always believed, too, that, they were using his playing time as a way to kind of build up value to trade him. But that would have been last year because he had that hitting streak and you could have got some value for him. And now you stuck with him and now we're seeing what he really is. He's not that good of a hitter, and I don't think he's ever going to figure that out consistently. And, part of me wants to think, oh, maybe they're just trying to get him in there, get him reps, and get him back in because they could use him to trade for a bullpen arm and be rid of Jackie Bradley. But I don't believe that that's even going to happen because if that was their plan, they would have probably traded him last year.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, he hit 26 homers last year, 87 RBI, 267 average. He gave you reason to believe that he could do this. And it's like, we even maybe believed, well, maybe this is real. Maybe this is what he is. And, now this season, he's barely cracked 200. He's only hit 3 homers. It's just like, it's just not there. And is he a 20 home run hitter guy? Is he a 267 hitter? Is he a 150 hitter? Should he be hitting 10 home runs? Like, what is this guy? He's so all over the place. Like, it's so hard to know what he actually is. Maybe he doesn't even know what he is. I don't know.
Exactly. You said it best. Like, what is he? Like, because he's so streaky, he's so inconsistent, and like you said, how he performed last year is, he gave us reason to believe that he could be that kind of player, and now it's just kind of like, what is going on? What is he doing? Why is he swinging at that? It's every time it's like that uncomfortable feeling when he comes to the plate. It's like, oh, here comes a strikeout, here comes an automatic out, and it's frustrating to see him struggle because, like you said, we've seen him, the 29-game hit streak, we've seen him crush home runs, we've seen him hit the ball. We know he can hit the ball. I'm just not sure what's going on in his head right now.
Like, not everyone can hit 26 homers. That's not easy to do.
No, and I don't think it's an expectation. I think it's just, he's had a career-long, non-success at the plate situation. He hasn't been good at the plate, has one good year, and now I think he sets the bar of, oh, crap, I got to hit like that again. But no, realistically, you don't. If you can just hit 250 and be kind of consistent and don't have high ups and downs, don't be a peaks and valley hitter. That's all I want out of him because he's that good of a defender that if he can just consistently, get hits here and there, hit 250, 260 over the course of the year, but not hit 400 and 100, then fine. That I'm okay with. But it's the peaks and valleys, and when he gets really down, it's pretty bad. And at that point, it's pretty much a guaranteed out, like a pitcher hitting in the National League from the American League. It's just, that's how inconsistent it's getting.
It's bad. It's just really bad.
But you're right, Jared. It's like it literally feels like an automatic out. You're like, oh, Jackie Bradley Jr.'s up, here comes a strikeout. It's like with no confidence in the guy.
Even if they had the bases loaded, I look at that and go, oh, well, might as well switch the channel if the inning's over. I don't even want to watch it unless something happens and I turn back. That's how bad it's gotten.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like, I'll close my eyes, like horror movie kind of thing. Like, I don't even want to see what's going to happen. Like, don't just wake me up when it's over.
That's
bad.
pathetic for a guy who hit 26 homers and 87 RBI last year. Like, how fast do you fall? I mean, hopefully he turns it around, but you think he's running out of time. I mean, the guy's gotten chance after chance after chance after chance.
Seriously.
After chance.
Yeah, and add more to that. And this whole team has gotten chances. Like, this offense has gotten chances. There's holes everywhere. And this is kind of an easy transition to what we also want to talk about because of the fact that you played Travis Shaw this week. This team's struggling to produce anything offensively consistently. Jackie Bradley's a big problem with that, but also the hole at third base is a very, very big problem. You have guys who can play defense, who can't hit. You guys who can hit, who can't play defense. Right now, Travis Shaw's looking pretty good out in Milwaukee, and he's looking like what you need. You need that consistent third baseman who can play. And I think you could have been able to keep him this year, and you should have been able to keep him. And obviously, the other half of that trade is currently on the 60-day DL and might not even pitch this year.
Yeah,
you're missing Travis Shaw, right? Like, you're missing the guy. You have to be.
Yeah, it's frustrating. The word of the show is frustrating because, I mean, I understood the trade and I understand it like completely, but to see it, I'm glad he's succeeding and I'm glad he's successful. I don't want the guy to fail by any means, but it's like, can we just have him back for like a month, just a little rental? I'm guy.
Well, this shouldn't be an issue because Pablo Sandoval should suck so much. That's the issue. Travis Shaw should not be the issue. Like, I liked him when he was here. I think he's a good player. He's a little inconsistent, sure, but like, you trade him because you expect Sandoval could maybe have one good season out of 5, maybe. What we're expecting from this guy? How much money can you pay the guy? I hate talking about money too. I hate that completely. But like, how much money can you pay the guy to literally never play? Like
$95 million.
Yep.
Ground for a ground ball and hurts his knee for 3 weeks now at this point. You can't even bend down in your knees without getting hurt. Why am I getting so worked up about this again? It's like, this is the guy who needs to be playing. Why isn't he playing? This is the guy you signed. You shouldn't need a utility Travis Shaw player. You shouldn't be wishing he was coming back because nobody can play third base because frickin' Sandoval is such an idiot.
Oh, I agree that Sandoval should be playing third base, but I do still think you should have been able to keep Travis Shaw as a backup to the corners without having to trade him away and get. You could have got Thornburg without trading Travis Shaw.
Yeah, you could have, but regardless, like, who's to say that Travis Shaw would have had that kind of season that he's having out in Milwaukee? But I mean, yeah, I absolutely do miss Travis Shaw for reasons like this. But Jess, like you said, this is our third baseman, and everyone kind of craps all over the guy for bending down to get a ground ball, and I completely understand. It's frustrating to watch because he just, like you said, he just bends down to get the ball and he just dies. And
that should not have been an injury. I mean, come on, it was a routine sit on your knees play.
It was, and I know knee injuries are tricky, and I tore tendons walking upstairs, so it's completely like knees are just ridiculous and bodies are just gross and how they work. But
you didn't have the best medical care ever either. You're not a professional athlete in the Red Sox,
But I wasn't rushing to get back to anything either. But it's frustrating because I don't like bringing money into it either, but we can't pay this guy to not play. We can't pay him to not even be on our bench, like, because he's injured and he's just not there. And it blows my mind that he didn't really play last season and there's so much hype around him. And yeah, it was more of a marketing sign than anything, but it's like, I mean, how many, again, chance after chance after chance, how many chances can we give this guy? Is it because we have him for so much money, or is it because we know he can be a good third baseman? I don't get it.
Yeah, I mean, just why is the guy so bad even when he does play? What did he hit, like 214 when he actually played this year? And he didn't get a hit last year in his six at bats or whatever he had. It's like, even when he does play, he's awful. He was terrible 3 years ago. He's always terrible. So he better come back and hit like 500 for the rest of his career. He's going to be as big a disappointment as Carl Crawford. Crawford at least played.
This is true. Crawford did play while he was here. Not well, might I add, but he did play. He was on the field. But he was absolutely garbage. Jess has handled a little too much negativity this week, so let's go positive. Please. just for Jess's sake. So there's a few things that could be nice this week. Brock Holt could return this week. Obviously, we know Drew Pomeranz might have escaped with the tricep tightness and seems fine. David Price has probably one more actual physical rehab start at Pawtucket, looking to throw about 95 pitches, and he's due to be back at the end of this month, early June. And Hector Velasquez is pitching this week. I don't know how that's going to go, but there are good signs for this team, getting people back, escaping some other injuries. Are these good, unfortunate signs for this team? Is it fortunate enough that this team might have some signs that are looking up going into June, potentially?
Yeah, I think it's definitely helpful. I'm glad Pomeranz dodged a bullet because, unlike pretty much everybody, I'm still a Drew Pomeranz fan. I think that he's a good pitcher. I think he just needs to get out of his head and just pitch, not worry about injuries, stop getting hurt. So I'm glad that he's okay. I'm glad that Holt's returning soon because even though I basically told him that he's done for his career a couple shows ago, if we could really use his depth and his utilityness on this team right now, and maybe after getting healthy, he'll hit a little bit like he did when he was an all-star, which hasn't happened for a little while, but get him back, that could definitely be helpful. Velasquez I'm excited about because I always like seeing new pitchers and see if they're good. Don't know much about him, but I do know that he had a 1.55 ERA this season in AAA, which is really good. And AAA is only one step down from the majors, so that could be a good sign. Excited for that. And yeah, Price, I don't want to be excited for him because I don't want him to come in and give up 30 home runs in three months when he comes back. But if he comes back and he is good, and he is like an ace-like quality pitcher, then I'll be very excited for that. And then Carson Smith, man, if he's actually going to come back when they projected it originally, like beginning of June, that would be great because he was my player to watch for last year, and I've literally just been waiting with open arms to see him pitch forever. I'm so excited about him.
I can see Jess now just there with flowers waiting to greet Carson Smith with open arms and just give him a big smooch. Love it.
Just sitting on my couch with my arms wide open for like 2 years. Come on, Carson. Come back. I'm waiting for you.
Carson, I'm still waiting for you. I'm still here, I promise.
You're still my player to watch for. So I'm excited for people to come back, and I want Thornburg to pitch. I want to see this guy. Is he ever going to pitch? Discomfort. We're gonna search all the options. Okay, Farrell, make him pitch. I want to see the guy. Come on, get the guys back.
With Thornburg would be phenomenal because he was pitching really well in spring training, and everyone around him said this guy's got electric stuff. He's moving the ball well, and it looked like he was going to be that really good, consistent 8th inning guy. That's what we said about Carson Smith when we got him too, and he for the 2 games, whatever it was, he pitched last year before he got hurt again, he looked really good. And so, is the reason why Red Sox fans are excited for these guys because people are giving them reasons to be excited. And if they can get healthy and get on the field, obviously Carson Smith will most likely pitch this year. I don't know about Thornburg, but
me either.
There are positive signs for this team, and I think David Price is a big one. As much as his playoff history sucks, his regular season dominance shows. He is a good, if not really good, pitcher in the regular season, and that's what this team needs right now, just to right the ship. I don't even care about the playoffs right now, because right now, they're not in the playoffs. This team needs to get consistent, and that's where David Price coming back in a couple weeks, what that'll do.
Yeah, it's always good to get guys back. It gives them a little bit more depth, no matter who it is. For Price especially, and I'm excited for Velasquez too. And Jess, you nailed it when you said good ERA, and it's nice to see them going with a guy from AAA who's pitching well, and not somebody like Kyle Kendrick who wasn't doing the best down there, but he had a good spring training. We'll give him a shot. So I'm excited for that, and I am excited for Price to come back. My hopes aren't super duper high just because I don't want to get them high for him to just absolutely blow it and just be terrible. And then I don't want to read his Twitter, and I don't want to hear anybody else talk about how terrible he is because we're just going to do it every week if that's how he's going to be. So, I think this rotation needs him, but they need the David Price that we know he is. And if he can be that pitcher, I don't even want to think about our rotation like Sale, Porcello, Price. Rodriguez keeps this up. It's going to be strikeout city.
Yeah, we don't need Kyle Kendrick, David Price. We need David Price, David Price.
David Price. Yeah. Yes, we do. Yep.
Or Chris Sale, David Price. I'd take Chris Sale, David Price over David Price, David Price.
Or Rick Porcello, David Price.
Yeah, I'd take Rick Porcello, David Price. Even Eduardo Rodriguez, David Price would be good.
I'd take Brian Johnson, David Price. So
You take Brian Johnson,
just
Brian
not David
Johnson,
Price.
so...
So what?
But not Tyler Thornburg, David Price. We don't need that.
None of that. No,
Not this year. Not this year, at least.
No, not this year. Maybe last year, even. Not this year.
Yeah, maybe last year, Tyler Thornburg, David Price.
David Price. Just come back and pitch well so we can all shut up. Because I'm sick of making fun of you. I want you to pitch well. I want this team to just be well again. God, it's awful. Okay.
And that's all he wants, right? Because he just wants to pitch. Like, he hates everybody. He hates the fans. He hates the city. He hates everybody. So they all hate him. So he just got to pitch well, right? He said it himself.
Yeah,
Yep.
seriously. Okay, so quickly before we move on to around the league stuff, just sure, I know we've been praising Craig Kimbrel and his everything he steps on and walks on all year, but just comments quickly on his immaculate inning, because that was just ridiculous.
Oh my goodness gracious! Like, what is there to say about that? He's just absolutely dominant. I love it. I love every minute of it. I want more of it, and I want this to be consistent. I don't expect him to throw immaculate innings every time he's on the mound, but
He's good. He's that good.
He's good, and I won't expect it, but I'm not going to complain if it happens. But he's here. He's doing exactly what we need him to do, and I want him to keep doing this because he's just so much fun to watch, and he's easy on the ice. I won't lie.
Well, let me give you some stats for him, because stats tell the story,
Because
and his
you
stats
love
really.
stats?
I love stats. You ready for these stats?
I'm ready.
All right, everyone. Here are Craig Kimbrel's stats this season: 16 games, 2 wins, no losses, 11 saves, 1 blown save. We'll give him a little mulligan there. 1 hold. 16.2 innings in those 16 games, 6 hits, 2 runs, 1 homer, 2 walks, 33 strikeouts, 1.08 ERA, 0.48 WHIP, and a .107, I don't have to say the point there, a 107 batting average against. That's insane. He's only given up 6 hits, 1
Holy
homer,
chalupas.
2 walks compared to 33 strikeouts. This is the guy who walked everyone. He walked the house last year, and he has 2 walks this season. Guys are hitting 107 against him. It doesn't get much better than this.
Nope, it doesn't, and I'll take that every day. I want updated stats every week on Kimbrel now, Jess.
I would be happy to give them to you. And he's warming up right now here in this Tuesday game. So more Craig Kimbrel coming.
It's going to be hard to keep up with those stats because it's hard to go anywhere once you have that stat line written and recording. So hopefully he can keep that up as he comes in tonight as we're recording. But Craig Kimbrel is just phenomenal. This is what we expected. Whoever was excited about the trade said, you didn't give up too much. It's Craig Kimbrel. This is what we're talking about, people. Like, this is the Craig Kimbrel that didn't. Who cares the prospects you gave up? Like, anyone know their names besides maybe us? But like. This is why you trade. You maybe paid a little bit more than you should have. You overpaid for Craig Kimbrel. This is why. You're seeing why you paid overpriced for Craig Kimbrel because of the fact that this is what he does when he's on. And now I think he figured it out.
I just can't believe he has 2 walks and 33 strikeouts for a guy who everyone complained about his walks. Like, that's pinpoint
everyone
control.
under the sun last year. He walked everybody last year.
Yeah, he had 30 walks. That's a ton for a closer. But like these 33 and 2 is like Koji. Like Koji level. I mean, Koji would have like 70 strikeouts and like 3 walks. Like that's incredible. That's immaculate control.
Seriously. So obviously, I could like Lauren said earlier, we could do an hour show on Craig Kimbrel. But we're not going to do that. So a lot of stuff went all around the majors as well. But I want to touch on one thing and one thing only because it was a big deal. Derek Jeter's number was finally retired as a Yankee, and some people said it was overblown. Some people said he's overrated. It's all going to come out of the woodwork, but he deserved that. It's weird the fact that no one can wear a legit number ever for the Yankees ever again. And I know we're a Red Sox podcast, but I just for one more time want to put out there that he is one of the best baseball players to ever play the game. He was consistent. He was good all around for the league. Yeah, even as a Red Sox fan, you had to respect the guy, and you liked Derek Jeter. You wanted to go to Fenway to watch Derek Jeter play. You wanted to do all this. So, rightfully, no one else is going to wear number 2 ever again in the pinstripes.
No, and I've got nothing but respect for Derek Jeter, but it's a little weird that, anybody incoming on the Yankees will never wear single digits. That's like 25% of their numbers or something crazy like that. And
It's like the Celtics all over again.
it is, and
Seriously.
that doesn't even count. That doesn't count the numbers that are current right now. So it's like, here, kid, you can't. You're going to be like numberless jerseys. Like, sorry, kid, you don't get a number
Well,
yet.
That's what happens when you win championships. I mean, the Yankees have 26 or 27, whatever it is. Celtics has 17. When you have that many championships, you're gonna have a lot of retired numbers. That's just kind of par for the course. But yeah, I mean, he deserves it. Obviously, he played 20 years for the team. He was the leader of the team. I mean, stats aside, he wasn't a huge home run hitter. He wasn't this. He wasn't that. People can have their complaint, but he was a lifelong Yankee and meant a ton to their team and won a lot of championships. That's all you can ask for. I mean, if his number didn't get retired, I'd be wondering what's wrong with their organization.
Seriously, yeah. No, we all saw it coming, and it's like, David Ortiz said he wants this kind of ceremony for himself. He's going to get it at some point. No one's going to wear 34 again. The Red Sox will put his number up there with Pedro's.
Next month.
Yeah, so it's no one's going to wear it. So he's going to get that. It's going to be a great send-off just like Jeter got there, and I'm sure that Fenway's going to go nuts when it happens. So before we get out of here, obviously we've covered a lot. I wanted to just make sure we paid our respects to Jeter one last time. Despite this being a Red Sox podcast, he's that well respected around the league. So this week we have 2 against St. Louis. They're currently playing as we speak. And then they have 4 in Oakland at the A's. So, Lauren, how do you see this week kind of shaking down? Hopefully a decent week for the Red Sox because they do need it.
Yeah, I'm taking a sweep of the St. Louis Cardinals, and currently it kind of looks like they're going to take the first game. Hopefully, they'll take the next one tomorrow as well.
If Craig Kimbrel has anything to say about it.
Absolutely. And, the Cardinals aren't the best at interleague play, and we've beat them in the World Series, so I kind of hold that over their heads. And I just think it's going to be they're going to get back on this winning track. And despite last week kind of putting me in a meh mood, I'm still staying optimistic, and they're going to sweep the Cardinals for sure.
Look at you, optimistic. I'm going the split. Hopefully that one wins tonight because we obviously have the lead at this point. But the Cardinals are a good team. They're 21-15. I feel like a lot of times 2-game series are splits, and a 2-game split on the road against one of the better teams in the league I will certainly take, so I'm going to split against them.
I have them sweeping the Cardinals. I promised you people we did do these predictions and write them down before this game started and before this game was over. So I promise it's not just because they won. I definitely have them sweeping the Cardinals. They need that bounce back series. I don't know why. I just have a feeling it's going to be against the Cardinals. Like Lauren said, they have a kind of a past history of not doing too well in interleague play. And then 4 against Oakland. I'm gonna go against my gut again. Last year I went against the sweep of the Oakland A's and it happened. But I'm going winning 3 out of 4 from the A's because of the fact that they haven't been playing well. They're going to slip up at some point, I think, this week. And I'm being super positive. I'm saying they're going 5-1 this week, just because, again, they won the first game. Who they're playing 4 games against in Oakland, I think anything less than a 4-2 week is kind of disappointing to me, at least.
You're weird, Jared. Mr. Negative over here. If the team isn't even playing well and you're still going 5-1, I think we need to find the old Jared Scally.
Chris Sale Juju spreading on me.
No doubt. I got winning 3 out of 4 from Oakland as well for a 4-2 week, obviously with the split of the Cardinals. The A's, once again, are not good. They are never good. Apparently, I don't know why they can never be good, but they're 16-22. They lost 4 games in a row. Too bad the games are in Oakland because they're 5-14 on the road. So if it was at Fenway, that'd be a pretty ugly series, hopefully. But they're okay at home. They're 11-8, but overall they're not good. And I like the Red Sox chances. Not going to sweep, but I think 3 out of 4 is pretty reasonable and much needed because an over. So I think 3 out of 4 would be good. 4-2 week. I think that would be a reasonable week. And get off the schneid for a 500 team. Get a couple games over 500. Be a good start for the rest of May.
Yeah, I mean, as much as I wanted to pick 3 out of 4 as well, I feel like there's always something that kind of goes wrong with the crappier teams. I know that
the Angels. They always struggle against the Angels.
Yep, and there's always something. And I know when they played Oakland last year, they didn't do fantastic, but I'm going to take a split for a nice 4-2 week. Still pretty optimistic. Not as optimistic as Mr. Optimistic himself, but I'm thinking
Mr. Optimistic.
Yeah. So, I think 4-2 is reasonable. I hope it's nothing less. I'll take a 6-0 week, but I think 4-2 is good, and it'll keep my spirits up. If they go anything less than that, I'm going to be a little sad next week.
Like I said, 4-2. I think anything less than that is a disappointment. Hopefully they go 6-0 because we wish that every week. So there you go. Jess has them going 4-2. Lauren 5-1. Myself 5-1. And I think, wrong week. I read last week's. They're both 4-2. I'm 5-1. I'm like, that doesn't seem right. That's weird. Jess kept.
That's not what she said.
I was like, that's not what she said at all. I have them going 5-1 because I am super positive. For some reason, I don't understand it. But that being said, that is the show for the week. Don't forget, of course, to follow us on Twitter at @RedSox_beat. Facebook is Red Sox Beat Podcast. The show, of course, was brought to you by our good friends at SeatGeek. Don't forget to check out the Garden Report promo. If you want $20 off, just put that rebate code in there in the settings tab, and you'll get your $20 off, as well as ZipRecruiter and Audible. Check out them as well. Obviously, you can follow CLNS on Twitter at CLNS Media. Facebook, search CLNS Media. You'll find us there. Of course, the app as well on iOS and Android. Rate, review, and subscribe us. Red Sox are about to be the only news in town after the next couple weeks, so want to get us out there as much as possible. Red Sox coming off a meh week, looking to extend it. Looks like they're going to win this game tonight on Tuesday, as Craig Kimbrel is coming in to hopefully save the game. We'll be back next week to talk about it and the rest of the week. For Lauren Campbell and Jess Thomas, I am Jared Scally. This has been Red Sox Beat here on CLNS Media. Talk to you next week.